Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Jesus, the Way, the Truth podcast. Right now, I'm just heading into the office to record another episode, as you can clearly see. We've got somebody really special talking to us about friendships today, and I hope you all are doing well during this exam period. And I do really believe that this conversation that we're going to be having about friendships is going to bless you all. So make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on bell notification so that you can get notified every time I post. But yeah, stay blessed. Well, now that we're in the studio, we have the special guest here with us. And I don't know, do you know who he might be? I do know. It's
Sophie!
Yeah.
Soph, hello.
Hey, Sophie. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do?
Yeah, so I am a youth worker. That's what I spend my days doing. I work for a charity in Birmingham. So yeah, that's how a lot of my time is spent. But I also host a podcast with my friend Rach.
Come on.
Who's currently living her best life in Brazil right now. She's doing a YWAM DTS. If you don't know what YWAM is, it's Youth with a Mission. So she's off doing that. But yeah, normally we would host a podcast together.
And what's the podcast called?
It's called It's Not Just You.
I'll link it down below, guys. Make sure to check out It's Not Just You podcast. Great people.
Thanks.
So, yeah. Today, Rachel.
Misho!
Oh, no. Should I keep this in? Oh my gosh, should I keep this in? Okay.
It's your podcast. You do what you like. I'm just here as a guest.
Oh gosh. Okay, Sophie.
There we go.
Getting it right. Yes.
There we go.
I'm going to ask you this. What does a godly friendship look like? Today we're talking about godly friendships. What does a godly friendship look like to you?
Ooh, big question. Big question.
Very.
I think for me, over the past few years, I've spent quite a lot of time actually thinking about friendship. And how does friendship as a Christian look different maybe to friendship, how the world, if we want to call it that, how the world would do friendship. And I think for me, something that has become really apparent is godly friendship is something that can last. And it can last the test of time, the good times, the bad times. You want to be a friend that isn't just there in the high moments, the best times. You want to be someone who goes to the depths of the bad times with someone and is there for them in the worst times as well. But also, I think godly friendship looks like not just giving up when things get tough.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes people can see friendships as disposable, and if you get into an argument or a disagreement, or even if you just start to find them a bit annoying, you can kind of just go, well, I'm just going to leave that person. I'll go find a new friend and I'll go and pursue another friendship. When actually I think godly friendship can look like having difficult conversations with your friends, challenging them. Yeah. Talking to them about the things that you're finding difficult in the friendship, even if it's not easy, even if it feels weird or uncomfortable. But actually doing all of those things, I think, can produce a really beautiful and deep friendship. So yeah, not giving up when things get a bit weird or difficult or you find them annoying. Yeah.
I guess this is like the main difference between a worldly friendship and a godly friendship, because in the Bible it tells us to encourage one another and to pray for one another, to confess our sins to one another. And what does all this have in common? The theme is vulnerability. Vulnerability does really strengthen friendships, and I've seen that with myself so much when I was becoming vulnerable with my friends or the people I look up to. We're having these conversations and they're able to give me the advice that I need. Maybe it's not something I want to hear, but again, as you said, the tough conversations, as they go into those tough conversations, you're learning something from them. Because in Proverbs 27:7 it says, iron sharpens iron and a friend sharpens friend. You know, I don't personally think that we've looked into how does an iron sharpen iron? An iron sharpens the dull bits of the iron. The process is not easy. It's painful, it hurts, but once that process is finished, that iron can be more effective through what their role is. It's the same way with the friendships, building up one another. Yes, but there's also this stuff of, for example, if I was to do something bad, I would anticipate for my friends to call me out. And that's something that did actually happen. And I do appreciate my friends for that. A couple of weeks ago, we were filming the ending scene of The Prodigal Son, coming out soon, 2024. Um, we were recording in front of the mailbox, and there was this one camera over there, and the camera was moving with us. It was kind of interacting with us, and we got carried away with it. But actually, there was a security guard looking behind the camera, called in another security guard and to kick us off the place.
Uh-oh.
And the security guard came in quite rudely, and he said to us, "You need to leave this area. You can't record here." And instead of me responding in a nice way, I was like, well, if we can't record here, you need to tell us where is the public space in here, so that we can record. As you can imagine, if you were the opposing person receiving what I said, that would also come out rude. But Jesus teaches us to be compassionate, kind, and gentle. And of me, that wasn't very nice to be rude to the security guard. He was just doing his job. Anyways, we record the final scene. It went real well. Again, coming out 2024, unknown date. But once we went home, my friend pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey, what you did there with that security guard wasn't the right decision to do, or it wasn't the right way to talk to him. You came out very rude to him." And obviously, me being myself, I tried to defend myself in saying, well, actually, he was rude to me first. But God teaches us not to respond evil with evil. He teaches us to love, to be compassionate. And after what my friend told me, I started thinking, well, if I was being rude to that person and I didn't acknowledge that I was being rude to him, but actually I was neglecting what he was saying, I kept thinking to myself, well, actually, how can I be more kind? How can I be more compassionate? And it's actually through just praying and having good friends that are there for you when they need to call you out, when they need to uplift you, when they need to cry with you, be happy with you. And it's just saying, Lord, give me your kindness and your compassion towards other people. Because me as a human being, I'm hostile all the time because my flesh is always hostile. And that's where the role of iron sharpens iron and a friend sharpens iron comes in. But yeah, do you have any situations like this?
I think for me, the maybe struggle that I could share with friendship for me has been maybe jealousy in friendship, or viewing my friends as a competition or comparison, where you look at a friend and there's something great going on in their life, and there's part of you that thinks, oh, that's amazing, that I'm so happy for them. But then there's another part of you that is like, oh, I wish that was me, or why isn't that me, or how come they've got that opportunity? And I think that is, where it talks in Galatians about us being in a spiritual battle, and we're constantly in a battle between what our flesh wants and what the spirit wants for us. And I think for me, it's like you were saying with your flesh and how you reacted to the security guard. This is another flesh moment of my flesh is, rather than being able to celebrate, champion, love my friend, is wanting me to view them as competition and something to, or as someone to compare myself to. And so I think for me in those moments, actually, you've really got to choose to step into what the Spirit wants for you and what the Spirit wants for your friendship, because that is where there's life, and that is where, you can see your friendships flourish. And so in those moments, what I've been learning to do, and definitely not always doing, is pray for them. And that prayer is such a powerful tool in those moments. And actually, if my initial instinct is, have you ever had it where you just get that feeling of like, oh, I don't like that, or oh, that's made me feel weird, or rather than the instant feeling just being joy and happiness for that other person, you're a bit like, oh, I feel actually a bit weird about that.
He's actually doing so much better than me. What's going on
here? And I think in those moments where that kind of weird, competitive, jealous feeling comes up, catching myself and being like, oh, that's not the Spirit, that's my flesh, and actually being able to take that to God and go, I'm sorry that that's the feeling that I'm having right now, and I'm going to choose to say, Lord, thank you for that opportunity that they've got, or thank you that, that's going on in their life. I want you to bless that, God. I want you to give them more. I want you to pour more favor on those things. And actually in doing that, in practicing that habit, I think that is where you can push the flesh down and step more into the Spirit. But it's definitely not like it just comes naturally. I think it's really something you have to be intentional in doing, and is a choice. Because like I said, it's a constant battle, flesh versus spirit.
Yeah, it says the flesh is weak, but the Spirit is willing. All the time, sometimes, where it's similar with me as well. Paul teaches us to do the same, what you just said. Get every thought captive and make it obedient to the Lord. When I'm having some thoughts like this as well, it's not good to have those feelings. It makes us feel bad. Comparison is the thief of joy, and I've been struggling with comparison a couple of months ago a lot, and I still am. But am I doing better right now than I was before? Yes. Why? Because I chose to rely on Jesus, and I chose to let him teach me and find my identity in him, so that I can feel confident that I'm a child of God. And even if my friend is doing better, that doesn't mean I am less of a person than him. I'm gonna paraphrase here. I don't exactly remember the exact verse, but it was in 1 Corinthians 12, where Paul was talking about the body of Christ. It says, if a fool was to say, well, if I'm not a hand, then I'm not part of a body, he is mistaken. Because no matter what part of a body you are still part of the body. If one person cries, the other person comforts him. And if one person is rejoicing, the body will rejoice with him. But it's really interesting how a godly friendship is different to a worldly friendship, because a worldly friendship can sometimes seem deep, but is it really though?
I mean, I have some friends who don't know Jesus, and they are some of my best friends. They are amazing people. I really treasure and value their friendship. And so I do think you can have deep friendship with people that don't know Jesus. But, for us, where Jesus is the most important thing in our lives, there, I guess, comes a point where it's like, I don't know, let's use another example. Let's say you support Arsenal football team. Do you support a football team?
Real Madrid.
Okay, let's say you support Real Madrid, and you have a friend that also supports Real Madrid. Right. And when they've played a match, you can ring them up and go, did you see that goal? Oh my gosh, and they've got these players playing today. And I don't know, I'm not massively into football, but
me neither.
But you can go deep with them with something that you really care about, because they also have that same care for the thing. If you had a friend that didn't care about Real Madrid, you probably wouldn't ring them up and talk to them about
Hey,
what players are
Ronaldo
playing,
just scored in
what
2017.
goals got scored, all of that. And I feel like that's kind of quite a trivial example, but where Jesus is the most important thing in our lives and is such a big part of our everyday. If I need prayer, or if I have an answer to prayer, or if I've read something in the Bible that's challenged me or I want to share, I'm not going to be able to ring up that friend who doesn't know Jesus, because they're not going to be able to engage in that conversation in the same way. And of course, there's moments with your friends who don't know Jesus where it's great to talk to them about those things, actually. And I think that's been massive for me in sharing my faith, is actually trying to just speak with my friends that don't know Jesus to some extent how I would speak with my friends who don't know Jesus. Like, oh, I was praying for this. Like, just drop it into conversation. Like, oh, I was praying for this, or oh, at church on Sunday this happened. But yeah, in terms of sharing that mutual excitement or that mutual passion and care for something with someone that's not walking with Jesus, I guess it's not there in that same way, is it? Like with Real Madrid.
But I guess if it's not the same way with them, the worldly friends and the Christian friends, there's actually a symbol of you planting seeds into their mind and saying, oh, well, something happened on Sunday and it was so good. And then your friends could get interested and ask more questions, and that's how evangelism happens. But
then on the flip of that, let's say you've just read a verse in the Bible that you don't really understand, and you don't understand what it means. You would probably want to or need to go to someone who has an understanding of the Bible and could help you unpack that and work out what it means.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where there comes to some extent a limit with your friends that aren't Christians, where there's a big part of your life that you really care about, you want to go deeper with, and they're not necessarily on that same journey with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have another question.
Okay.
So, is a friendship always easy? So is it always rainbows and pink skies and happiness?
Oh, I would say short answer, no. Longer answer, well, I think firstly friendships go through different seasons, and there might be a season where you or your friend are going through a tough time and the friendship feels maybe not as light or fun, because maybe you're talking through some deep stuff, or but I think there should still be a joy in friendship, actually, even just externally processing. But I think even if you were going through a tough time with a friend, there should still be a sense of joy, and a joy of being able to do life with a person and share your life with them. I do think that friendships aren't always easy. They can be difficult. And I think I touched on it at the start about sometimes where people, I think, can look at friendship as disposable. And actually, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how if you're married to someone, or if you were dating someone, or if someone was your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, there's a level of commitment that you've, well, spoken to them, like verbally and with your actions. You'll show, like, look, I'm committed to you in this way. If you're married, you've literally signed a piece of paper that says you're committed to them.
You cannot leave me.
Yeah. So I think, and I'm not saying that, friendships are not parallel on a par with being married to someone, but I do think that sometimes with friendships, they're just seen as like if it's fun, great, this is amazing. Oh, it's got a bit hard, no thanks, I'll just go and be friends with someone over here, and I'll just maybe just dot from person to person depending on how things are. But I think, like I was saying at the start, actually, if you can stick it out through the tough times, that might be something external that's going on that's just making life hard for you or for them. That might be something actually within your friendship that's come up that's feeling difficult and you're having to navigate it. I think rather than avoiding the conflict or the confrontation or stepping into more challenging or difficult conversation, actually, if you can go there and address the thing that's maybe come up in your friendship that's difficult or that's feeling hard, and that's that might not always go well. That might not
Mm.
always be easy or fun. But if you can go there, I think, yeah, like I said, it can produce really beautiful, deep friendship.
Yeah, this is something that has not been planned, but I have a question.
Okay.
Friendships, godly friendships are meant to be deep friendships, right? Um, what if they're just Sunday friendships, but then you want to go deep with that person, but that person is not in the same boat as you, as in you seem friends, but you are not as deep as friends as you think you are.
Okay. Let's say you're in youth and, you know, there's loads of people in youth and there's people that you feel like you know well, but maybe you've never actually hung out with them outside of youth, or you've never been in a smaller group, or even just like in a one-on-one context. I think to go deeper with someone, really, it's just about, I think sometimes clocking the hours of just being intentional, having some quality time. So let's say there's someone that's in a bigger group of people that you hang out with, maybe approaching them and saying, oh, hey, like, should we go out for food? Or do you want to come around to my house and hang out? Or let's go get a coffee or a smoothie or milkshake, whatever is your drink of choice.
Or water.
Or water, yeah. Free water, yeah, come on. Yeah, I think if you've, because I've had that before, where you see someone, you maybe don't know them that well, but you think, I feel like we connect, even if we've just had a little short conversation. And when I've had that, I think I've just gone, do you want to hang out? Like, what do you have to lose? I think more often than not, why would they say no?
Yeah. Unless it's exam periods, because
unless it's exam
periods. I've been finding this quite hard myself, because it's exam periods now, and I'm not going through an exam. I have coursework to do, which is quite finished, and I don't really have to revise. But my friends do have to revise, because why? They value their grades and they value where they want to go to. For me, that's quite hard, because I want to spend that quality time with them, but unfortunately, it's not possible. So how do I oversee this thing of, they hate me, they don't want to talk to me, have I done something wrong, why they're not texting me, what's going on, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really easy to go down that thought spiral of someone's said, oh no, I can't hang out because I'm revising for an exam. Totally valid reason.
Yeah, agreed.
But then I've had it before where someone's given me a valid reason as to why they can't hang out, and my thoughts just go, they don't like me. They were never my friend in the first place. I've done something wrong. They're gonna leave me. They're gonna ditch me. And I think sometimes it's going, whoa, I've gone down a rabbit hole here. Let's come out. Let's look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
They have exams that they need to revise for.
Yeah.
That does not mean that they don't want to be your friend and they don't want to spend time with you. And sometimes you need someone else to do that for you. You need another friend to come in and speak some truth to you.
Yeah.
And pull you out of the hole, because sometimes if you've gone down a big spiral,
you can't climb
then you're
out.
like, I can't get out. What have I done? So maybe having friends to help you come out of that way of thinking. But I think knowing that friendships go through different seasons, and even like I mentioned at the start, my friend Rach, who I host our podcast with,
it's not just you.
Link
in the description.
She's in Brazil at the moment.
Come on.
Which has obviously been a big change in our friendship. She's halfway around the world.
Yeah.
And so our friendship looks different, and you know, friendships don't always, I think, go on like this track of two parallel lines that are always, you know, you're always going through the same things and you always have the same amount of time to give to each other. So I think it's just trusting that, you know, in this season, Rach is in Brazil, I'm still here, but then there might be a time where I go somewhere and she's in Birmingham. So almost, I think, having the bigger picture of friendship and not zoning in on a tiny moment, but coming out. Like for you, in 4 weeks all your friends will probably be finished with exams.
Yeah.
And then you'll be hanging
yeah.
out and it'll be summer and it'll be amazing and you're spending all your time with each other. And actually there might come a time where they're free all the time and you're busy.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, oh, Misha doesn't have any time to hang out with me.
He hates me. Why does he not talk
and
to
they'll
me?
go down a big thought spiral. So I think that it's knowing...
reverse God.
It's knowing that things come in seasons often.
Yeah.
And it's not a forever thing. They're not doing exams for the rest of their lives, are they?
No.
It's for a few
I hope
weeks.
so.
Well, yeah. It's for a few weeks and then things will come back to normal. But then they might change again. And it's having to work through those ebbs and flows of friendship and the changes that come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Wise woman, Sophie.
Oh,
Wise
thanks,
woman.
Misho.
Wise woman. Last question before we go. Whew, it's a big question.
Okay.
How can we build and keep strong, godly friendships?
This is a good question. Okay, few things that come to mind. Champion them, be their cheerleader, cheer them on, be on the sidelines with your pom-poms. And it kind of goes back to the point, yeah, maybe not for you. Whatever your kind of, whatever version of that you want to be. But it goes back to the point I was saying earlier, I think, about not letting the flesh win.
Yeah.
And actually, being able to celebrate them when something good happens, if they're working on something, if they've got something going on in their life, cheering them on with that, serving them. How can I help you? How can I, encourage you in what you're doing? And I guess almost that thing of putting others before yourself and being sacrificial with your time, your money, your effort, your energy. So I'd say that. I would say just hanging out.
Yeah.
Spending quality time.
Yeah.
Asking each other questions. Getting to know them. Knowing what they love, what they don't like. Their story. All of those things. Praying for them. Praying with one another and for them. Like we were speaking about earlier, opening up scripture, praying with each other together, but also in your own time.
Yeah.
Praying for them.
I could chuck in and say,
yeah, go on. What do you think?
If you want a friend who checks upon you, a friend who has a strong connection with you, who cheers you on, who doesn't compete with you, maybe it's a good start that you were being that person to the people around you.
Yeah.
So that those people around you, when they see you, they're going to like your atmosphere. They're going to like the person who you are. And obviously, if I want to be someone's friend, I got to like them. And I'm not saying you have to be a people pleaser, but what I'm saying is that build yourself a character that it's nice to be around you. And of course, there's times for deep chats, there's time for crying, there's time for happy moments. It's just knowing what to do when and reading the room. One thing I used to struggle with was reading the room. There was this one time where it was like a serious conversation in the friend, like we were having Bible study, and then I'm so busy into finding the actual Bible verse, and my friend, he already said what I was looking for, and I zoned out, and I was looking for the Bible verse, and then I read out that same exact Bible verse that he said. It was a quite awkward situation, but that's like a very little example of reading the room. But instead of me listening to what my friend has to say, I was too busy looking into the Bible, which is not a bad thing, but it's just figuring out the right time for everything. But yeah,
I think as well, just riding through the waves of life with them. There'll be mountaintop moments where you're both celebrating together, life's great. There'll be real low points, either for both of you, for one of you, and I think godly friendships looks like not just being there for the good times, but being there for the difficult, challenging,
Yeah.
bad times. So yeah,
Yeah. It's going really good. Well, I think this is our time to depart.
should we leave it there?
Should we leave it there? We're leaving it there.
Let's do
Well,
it.
thank you so much for joining us in Jesus, the Way, the Truth, the Life podcast. You know what I've realized?
What?
Every time I do an intro and I say, welcome back to another Jesus, the Way, the Truth podcast, I'm actually missing out the life.
Oh, he is the life.
He is the life, guys.
Come on.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Jesus loves you, and remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. Bye.
Bye, guys.